This is our raw recording studio coming to you right now inside the truck. This is actually the time that we think the best. For some reason, for my head, I tend to think better in here, and we just thought that it would be kind of interesting to start recording some of these conversations that Jen and I have as we continue.
Agreed. So our devotional was Christians have a life of suffering. They gave a testimony about this woman who her life was full of suffering to the very end. But she was super soft. Her heart was soft, and she was still going out, helping people. And at the very end of her life, the pastor, who didn't really know her well, came into the room, and she was near death, and he was crying. And she was laughing because she's like, this is the best day of my life because I get to go see my Savior. So it was okay.
Yeah, the point is she was just a life that was such a strong testimony for Jesus that it was throughout her entire life, she lived a life that was so honoring to God in all things. And her life was hard. Life had dealt her a hard deck, and she was still faithful. And at the end, she was joyful in the fact that her suffering was over. But her life was one of integrity. And we were discussing how important it is, Christians especially, we tend to think, oh, Jesus, come soon, Jesus, yes, come soon, but kind of get stuck on the future, going home to see Jesus, rather than living a life that's what He's called us to live, right? He's called us to live an abundance of not an abundance of, hey, how much can I get? But abundance of adventure and abundance of satisfaction. Whether that's wherever you're at, God has given you a purpose, and it's understanding that purpose which gives you joy and satisfaction out of life. And we call that aggressive patience, being aggressive in our day-to-day and being intentional in living, but patient in that we can wait for God to return, to call us home, whichever comes first. But we're not just sitting around twiddling our thumbs, waiting for God to come back. We're being aggressive in our day-to-day and being diligent with the time and good stewards of the time that we actually have with us.
Yeah, I think that also kind of ties into what we were watching in the House of David. Yeah, they took a lot of liberties with that one, but it was, you have the Israel army and the Philistine army, and they didn't go to battle. The Israelites were super scared of Goliath, and David comes in, he's like, why haven't you fought this guy? He's defying God right now. It clicked the backstory of God won't deliver us. We have to go out. We have to actually do something where He can show that He can deliver us.
Good, because you can't hide behind a rock and then expect God to just solve all your problems. You have to live a life of faith, knowing that God is with you. Right? There's a difference between the two. One is one of passivism and being afraid, living life in fear, and another one is living life boldly, but cautiously, right? You should be cautious, but still be bold in your faith, and as you're moving through life, you can take courage knowing that He's with you.
I think that's what we're trying to do.
And that's what we're trying to do. That's why we're on the road. That's why we're traveling. That's why we're offering business coaching. That's why we're just being more present and active on social media, because we want to have a bigger impact and help people. Essentially, that's our main goal, is to help people. We can be faithful to the call that we think God has given us.
Yeah, but it's intentional living with actually in our family life too. And what we want to instill in our kids. I created this awesome bubble sheet. It helps me to, whenever I see it, helps me to focus. And kind of like have the double check in my mind of like, hey, are we actually teaching our kids what we want to be known for? We just actually kind of like going through life, just kind of meandering through life instead of being intentional.
Yeah, one thing that we want our family name to be known for is authenticity. We want people to know us as the Hayes clan as being authentic. And that's what we hope as we keep recording these sessions, the brainstorming sessions, that everybody can get. It's a sense of that we're trying to be real and transparent, authentic in everything that we do. whether that's in family, in business,